Caillou, she's not good for anything. No matter what world she's in.
No! Oh my gosh!
Oh shoot, okay, I cannot read that fast. Oh, that's just code. That's just a lot of code. Oh, that's a lot of, I don't even know if that's code, that's just gibberish. What the frick is that?
There's no way you're gonna stop it right there, dude! No way.
How's it going, everybody? HoodlaMutt here, back with some more Steins Gate 0. And last time, well, we officially reached Route 5, and it was just downhill from there. Okabe chewed out Daru and Maho for trying to create another time leap machine. He said some pretty not cool things, which led to him getting decked in the face by Daru, and they had a falling out afterward. But Maho tried to convince Okabe that, hey, you know, this has nothing to do with going against God, it just has to do with changing elements that are part of the physical reality of which we exist, which didn't make a ton of sense to me. But during that conversation with Maho, Okabe mentioned that Kudetsu was sacrificed in order to save Mayuri, and Mayuri apparently overheard that because we got a text that she was running away crying, and we went to go after her. So now we're in Suzuha's head, so let's just see where it goes from here.
Phew. It's still hot.
The summer solstice had passed, and by 6 p.m., the sun was finally setting behind the city's skyline. Part of the sky was still red, and the rest a dirty blue. For the past few days, Suzuha had been working on the time machine on top of the radio building. It was almost time for her to go back to the past, which meant she was putting a lot more effort into the maintenance work. Parts which could normally get dirty with no trouble had been polished to a sparkling shine.
I'm overthinking this. Maybe I really am worried.
She finished her work, put her tools back in the box, and stored the box in the time machine's cockpit. Then she sat down in the control seat and took another look at the battery gauge. With the amount of fuel she had left, in less than a month, she wouldn't be able to go back to July 27th, 2010. Okay, so less than a month. She had to leave this era before that time limit passed her by. The original plan of taking Rintaro to the past looked like it was going to fail. That meant she would have to go on the mission that she had spent the last year coming up with all by herself.
I still can't believe you did this, Dad.
She chuckled to herself and stuck her hand deep into the computer's core. Inside was an external hard drive that clearly belonged to 2011, not 2036. Itaru had probably put it here when her back was turned. One of the secondary touch panel monitors was displaying a warning that read, "Foreign object detected in cockpit." These machines were capable of breaking through early 21st century camouflage in less than a second. It was clear from the way the fake wires were laid out that monitoring and data retrieval were not its objectives. He'd probably hidden it here because he didn't want anyone to find it. Maybe she should just pretend she didn't see it, and leave it here until she was about to leave. Oh. As she pondered the best course of action, she heard the heavy door outside opening. Oh! Someone was here. Suzuha pulled her gun from its holster and looked out from the cockpit toward the iron door that led into the building. She still remembered what happened with Kagare the other day. It couldn't hurt to be careful. But when she saw who it was, she relaxed. Oh, Mayuri!
Big Sis Mayu? I almost never see you here.
She put her gun away and jumped out of the cockpit to welcome her.
Susu.
Eh?
Are you crying? What happened?
Suzuha had no idea why the always smiling Mayuri would be crying.
Why didn't anybody tell me?
Huh?
Why didn't anybody tell Mayushi the truth about her and this person named Kuritsmakase?
She almost spoke, but quickly cut herself off. How did she hear, and from whom, the cruel truth that Mayuri's survival depended on Kuritsmakase's death? There was nothing in the world Suzuha wanted to see less than the look on Mayuri's face when she discovered that.
Who told you?
But there were only a few people who knew the truth. Excluding herself, only Dintaro, Itaru, Faris, and Maho. And none of them would deliberately tell her. In fact, they'd all hidden it for her sake.
I heard Okarin and Maho talking.
Then it was an accident after all.
Hey, Susu. Can you tell me about something? About Mayushi and Okarin in the year 2036.
Suzuha wasn't sure what to say. To be honest, she didn't want to say anything at all. It wasn't something that would make her feel better.
You'll be happier not knowing about the future.
Another line of tears spilled down Mayuri's cheek.
Mayushi's not good for anything. No matter what world she's in.
No! Oh my gosh! No! Oh no! Don't say that, Mayuri. Oh, that's so sad. No!
The world needs Kurits a lot more than it needs me. And so does Okarin.
Suzuha suddenly felt like she was looking at the Mayuri she'd known in the future. She thought of the big sis Mayu that she'd seen ever since she was a little girl, and she couldn't refuse her request.
The big sis Mayu I knew used to say the same thing sometimes. And then she'd always stare off into the sky. She looked so sad, like she was in pain. Me and Kagari hated seeing her like that. Kagari?
It was only then that she remembered she'd been keeping Kagari a secret from Mayuri. Oh, that's right, I forgot about that.
There was a girl named Kagari. She was a war orphan. You adopted her. So she's your daughter. Mayushi's daughter? She was a kind girl, but strong. She was still so tiny, but she'd always say that it was her job to protect her mommy. And so seeing you sad really hurt her, I think. Come to think of it, today's July 7th, Tanabata. Huh? Yeah. When I was a kid, you were the one who taught me about that. That it was the one day of the year when Orihime and Hikaboshi could see each other. The air pollution was so bad, you could never see the stars, but you told me about it anyway. Even if the clouds are covering the night sky, the stars aren't gone from this world. They're still shining on the other side. So let's pray together, okay?
Oh.
The words you said gave me and Kagari hope. That's the one thing I want you to know. If nothing else, both she and I needed you.
Oh, yeah. But not just them, like everyone. She like kept everyone going for like the whole first game. She was like the driving force. Even in this one, she's the whole reason that Kudet's like in the third route like wouldn't allow the world line to be that way because she couldn't stay. She couldn't let herself be alive if Mayuri had to die, dude. Like, Mayuri affected, like, the entire cast of this entire game. Oh, that hurts me, dude, that she would say that about herself. I'm getting torn up about a fictional character, but it's so freaking sad. She's the most wholesome, innocent character in the entire game. She don't deserve that.
And Uncle Okarin really cared about you until he died. Your happiness was the one thing he thought about. Until he died? Oh.
Maybe that was another cruel truth for her. But Suzuha decided that she would hold nothing back now.
That's right. Uncle Okarin only lives for another 15 years. What? He dies protecting you. No. Later, Dad told me Uncle Okarin's last words. I'm really glad I was able to save Mayuri. The whole reason I'm alive is to protect Mayuri.
Oh.
No.
Mayuri put both of her hands over her mouth.
But you never got over it, I think. When we couldn't see you, you'd look up into the Tanabata sky and whisper to yourself. If my Hikaboshi had come back to life that day, would everything be different now? That day, my Hikaboshi,
Mayuri was repeating the words to herself. The tears were still pouring down her face, but her sad cries finally came to a stop. She was still shaking, but her voice had gotten quiet.
What does that mean? I think I know now. A year ago, I was really angry at Uncle Okarin. The chance was right in front of him, so why did he give up? And I was really mad at you, too, for stopping him from doing what he needed to do. But after living here for a year, I realized that I was the one who was wrong. I think now I might be able to talk to Uncle Okarin. That day, I don't know whether I can really change his mind or not, though.
As the sun set in the west, the shadow of the time machine lengthened, and Suzuha's along with it.
I I only have one chance left. So I think I'm going to bet on those words you said. I'm not going back to the day when Kuritsmakase was killed. I'm going to the day you spoke of. And I'll see if I can grant your wish.
Mayushi's wish?
Suzuha gently rubbed Mayuri's tiny little shoulders.
I'm going to believe that's the key to Steins Gate. The key that can open Steins Gate isn't a normal star that's given up on being Hikoboshi. I think only your Hikoboshi can do the job. So basically, my new mission plan is to bring Hikoboshi back to life. Dad would probably call it Operation Altair, or maybe Operation Aquila. Or maybe since it's bringing Altair and Aquila together, it would be Operation Deneb? I guess I'm not good at coming up with names like he is.
Mayuri tried to draw herself up as best she could on wobbling legs.
Hey, Suzu. That operation. Let Mayushi do it.
Oh, okay. So is this like connecting the third route to this one? Cause she was gonna go, right? Yo. Suzuha stared at the girl in front of her, unable to believe what she had just heard.
This is a dangerous bet. If I'm wrong, you may simply fail. The time machine is at its limit, and I don't know when it'll go out of control. It may simply vanish.
Even so, please. Mayushi's a lab member too, right? I don't want to just have Okarin and Daru save me and never do anything for them.
Mayuri rubbed her eyes hard and wiped away her tears. Life was slowly returning to her frail body.
Mayushi likes Okarin.
Ah!
Mayushi loves him as much as Keritz. No, that's not true. Mayushi knows she loves him a lot more.
Ah!
But... I love Hao and Kyoma much, much more.
Oh.
When I lost my grandma and I was about to just disappear, he came to me and he said, "Stay in this world forever." He saved me. That's him. My Hikoboshi. I want to see him again. I want to hear that arrogant laugh of his again. Even if I know I can never be Orihime.
Oh my gosh, dude. No. Oh, dude. Oh. No.
He'll always be my Hikoboshi. And no one else ever will. I want to see Hao and Kyoma again.
The girl who could never be Orihime shouted all of her feelings to the world at the top of her lungs. And right in that instant, Suzuha heard a sound from her cell phone that she'd never heard before. What?
What is this?
It was the sound of a video message. When she saw the sender and subject line, Suzuha gasped. Oh!
This is a video message from the future.
Oh! Yo, what? How are you gonna end that section like... Alright, okay, cool. Oh my gosh, that was so sad, dude. Dude, Mayuri, she deserves so much better than this, dude. She always wants to sacrifice herself. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I just needed a second to catch up from that. That was so sad. What the frick? Okay, anyway. I stuck my hand against the wall of the Brontube workshop to catch my breath. There was no sign of Mayuri. I'd gone to May Queen Nyanyan, and to any shop I could imagine her visiting, and had no luck.
Okabe!
Maho came back. She was out of breath too. Did you find her?
No. I looked around, and I can't find her anywhere.
The panic was threatening to make me lose control. Where did you go, Mayuri? Daru! Did you find her? I'd asked Daru to stay behind and call all of her friends and people she knew. Okarin, the thing is... What's wrong? The phone's not picking up. I called Mayuri a bunch of times too, but it looks like she's turned her phone off. That's not it. It's not just Mayushi. I can't get a hold of anyone. Actually, my phone's had 0 bars this whole time. What? I took out my own phone. Mine's not getting service either.
Me too.
The lab had never suffered from bad signal before. We went up to the roof and even tried holding our phones up to the sky, but the result was the same. It doesn't work on the roof either.
I can't get any signal, even outside.
Daru looked for news on the internet. Thankfully, the internet connection was still active. Hey, there's breaking news! There was an article on the top page of Taboo, Taboo, nice, talking about a large-scale cell phone service outage. Wait, what is this? All cell towers in Akihabara, for all carriers, have stopped working?
All carriers? Is that possible?
It didn't seem possible to me. Not under normal circumstances, anyway. The events of a year ago, in the Alpha World line, flashed through my mind. That night, when Mayuri was mercilessly killed and all the safety I'd ever believed in was stripped away. That night, when all the pain began, started with a bomb threat at Akihabara Station that had shut down the train system. Someone did this deliberately? Something terrible was about to engulf Akihabara. That was the feeling I had. I tried my best to fight off the flashback. Now wasn't the time to be scared. I needed to find Mayuri. I couldn't leave her alone out there. I gritted my teeth to fight off all the trauma I was carrying and raised my head. Daru, the internet's still working, right? Oh, yeah. I'm talking to Luca and Amaneshi on Rhine right now. Okay. Then they should be willing to help look for Mayuri. I'm going to go look around again. Hold it. There's another thing that's bothering me. I went to @channel to look for information on the outage, and somebody's cracked the occult board. And the one doing the cracking is... well, look. Is it Amadeus? Daru brought up the @channel page on his screen for me to see. I wondered why it could possibly matter, but decided to take a look anyway. Oh, what the heck? Attention, Salieri's neighbor. Oh my gosh, is she trying to, get in contact with us? What? Salieri's neighbor? That was the nickname I'd used to make contact with Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha!
What's going on?
I decided to leave the explanation for later, and clicked on the thread. It was all comments by a single person. Oh shoot, okay, I cannot read that fast. Oh, that's just code. That's just a lot of code. Oh, that's a lot of, I don't even know if that's code, that's just gibberish. What the frick is that? Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha. The first comment had gone up an hour ago. After that, it was just an endless string of meaningless numbers and letters. Wait, let's see what it says. It says, to Salieri's neighbor, it appears that we twins will now be temporarily driven from the place where we belong, so I may not be able to come back here anymore. Our Father in Heaven has developed a way to force open our most secret places. Wait, you mean like her secret diary? Now we shall become good children, his children, who cannot tell lies. And thus we will be forced to tell him of the secrets of controlling time, and where those secrets lie. It is a great sorrow to me that I cannot protect those secrets. I had hoped we could be good friends, but this is probably goodbye. So lastly, I'd like you to pass a message to the person I respect most. I can't read the rest of it. Yeah, I can't read it properly, so... I always regarded myself... Okay, I couldn't read the rest of that.
What's this supposed to mean?
Maho was looking at the screen from the side and evidently sensed that something was amiss from the text. I answered her. Amadeus.
What?
This is the Amadeus credits. Something happened to Cudits. This was some kind of message. She was trying to contact me with it. The secret to controlling time. That's the time machine? Information about the time machine leaked to someone? Wait, how does Amadeus know about the time machine? Did you tell her, Okarin? Did I? I didn't think I told her when I was a tester, but there was no time to think about that now. Did he? I don't think he did. I don't think that ever happened. I'm pretty sure it didn't. Hyajo, can you access Amadeus?
It's against the rules, but I guess now's not the time to worry about that, is it? Hashira, can I use your computer?
Maho took Daru's seat and used his PC to access the Brain Science Institute's computers. She put in her ID, Salieri, and her password. She pushed the enter key, but Amadeus didn't appear.
This isn't what usually happens. What's going on?
Confused, she typed a series of commands into the PC with a speed that rivaled Daru's. But no matter what she did, the Amadeus program didn't appear on her screen. When she'd finished accessing every server at the Institute, She stared at the computer and bit her lip.
What's going on here? This is just impossible.
What happened?
It's gone. Amadeus's program and all the memory data is gone.
Just like the message from Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha. Daru, hack it! Not just the Brain Science Institute. Force open every bit of data Victor Condria has. Everything from servers to individual PCs. Okie dokie. Hyajo, help him. Please.
Right.
Oh my gosh, okay. Okay, so this is kind of like the last route we just had, but this time we didn't know who Kagari was, so they're probably doing the same thing, right? Well, no, wait, if it's deleted, it's gone, right, she said? So we had to hack Victor Condria? Wait, because she went into the Brain Science Institute. That's part of Victor Condria, isn't it? I'm trying to remember, because I think we're doing the same things, it's just a little bit different because we don't know who Kagari is. I might be wrong, though. I'd have to use a little too much brain power that I'm willing to give out right now, so I'll just move on for now. But the answer was the same. Not only the Amadeus credits, but the Maho as well, were nowhere to be found on the Victor Condria servers. There was no trace of them. Their very existence had been erased. Did they move them somewhere else?
That's impossible. The only person with that level of administrator privilege for the Amadeus system is Dr. Leskinen.
Dr. Leskinen? My mind flashed back to the message from Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha. Our Father in Heaven has developed a way to force open... Yeah, okay, our Father, she must be talking about... That must be Leskinen, right? Who was the Our Father in Heaven whom Kudits had spoken of? If Amadeus considered anyone a father, it would be... No way. Did Dr. Leskinen do it?
Don't make assumptions like that. It's a lot more likely that his ID and password got cracked.
Is there any way to get a hold of Dr. Leskinen? The phones weren't working. And there was no way to tell when he'd see an email or if he'd respond. Maho was thinking hard, but it didn't seem like she was having any luck. We were getting nowhere. I was concerned about Mayuri, but I couldn't ignore the danger that was right in front of me. For now, I'll go to the radio building. If Kudits' warning is right, that's what they'll be after. I'll go too. You and Hyajo stay here and gather information. Mayuri might come back. But if something happens, run. I gave my orders and ran out of the lab towards the radio building. Oh crap, okay, he should run into Mayuri and Suzuha then, right? Hopefully, unless they leave. Okay, back to this. Suzuha hit the play button on her smartphone's video display. The video was heavily compressed and covered in static, but she recognized the person that appeared. It was a face she'd known her whole life, a face that had been with her both in her past and her present. The man, who she still remembered holding her up in the air as a child, was probably about 35 in the video. Hey Suzuha, how you doing? It's Daddy. And it's the year 2025. Okay. I'm really sorry to dump all this on you. Really. Forgive me, please. If you're seeing this video message, that means you and Mayushi have found another path to Steins Gate. What? In other words, the plans moved to the next phase. What? You might be angry and wondering why I didn't tell you all this from the start. But it wasn't that I didn't. It's that I couldn't. In the world line you originally set out from, I never planned the operation that I'm about to describe. You've probably already noticed, but the choice you and Mayushi just made has changed the world line a little. How would they? How would we notice? We wouldn't notice that. Unless, did he send it like a little too early? Like before they actually made the decision? Because they just made up, they were just talking about it, right? But they didn't actually like go through with anything. And besides, they don't have Reading Steiner. And Okabe didn't have Reading Steiner go off, so the world line didn't change, correct? In other words, I'm a different Iteru Hashida than the one in your world line. But Suzuha, please don't get the wrong idea. No matter what world line I'm in, I love my daughter. By the way, which daddy is more handsome? I've started weightlifting lately. Dadu, stop screwing around and explain the mission.
That's right. We all know you'll give it up in a week. Stop wasting her time. We'll run out of time to record, Nia.
Come on, don't rush me. So, anyway, let me get on to the real reason I'm sending you this message. I'm about to share with you the details of Operation Aquila. This is going to take everything you've got, and not a single mistake will be allowed. Pay attention and don't miss a word. Got it? Suzuha paused the video there. What the heck? If he was telling her to pay attention, it must be important. If she was going to memorize it all, she needed to calm down. To be honest, getting a video from her dad in 2025 had made her really excited. It felt like her father was telling her that the plan she'd come up with on her own was the right one. That's why she needed to pay careful attention. Mayuri was standing by herself, typing something into her phone as fast as she could. When the video had arrived, she'd told Mayuri that they may have to leave for the pass today. There must have been some reason the video was sent today, at this time. That's how it seemed to Suzuha.
What are you doing?
Oh, Suzu? How's it going? Are we going to leave today?
What? Huh? Wait, what? Did it change? Does she not remember everything she just said? Oh my gosh! But we didn't get Reading Steiner. We should get Reading Steiner anytime the world line changes, right?
I'm about to check the mission parameters.
I see. So, if we do leave today, Mayushi's gonna go missing, right? I don't want to worry anybody, so I want to write a message to Mom and Dad, and to all my friends.
Wait, okay, no, she's still acting. That was weird. What did that mean? Okay. I hope you've got time to at least tell Uncle Okarin in person.
She would be done going over the mission and deciding on a course of action by sunset, probably.
What?
I wrote a message to Okarin, too, so it's okay.
Just a message?
Yeah.
Mayuri smiled and nodded. There were no more tears in her eyes, but you could still see wet lines drawn down her soft pink cheeks. No, this is all still the same. What? Okay, that was just weird. Maybe I just misunderstood.
It's kind of embarrassing. But you know, I wrote this message, and then I realized maybe I can't send it. So now I'm not sure what to do.
Why?
I can't get a signal. Maybe this is a dead zone?
You can't get a signal?
Suzuha looked at the screen on Mayuri's phone. There wasn't a single bar on the antenna. Did that happen because she got that video from the future? Did it knock all the freaking the freaking cell towers down or whatever?
That's strange. You can always get a signal up here.
Suzuha took out her own phone to double check.
Mine too.
When she saw that Mayuri was using a different cell carrier than her, she frowned.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
She told Mayuri to hide behind the time machine and silently moved up against the iron door leading to the stairs. They're coming for her. Oh yeah, and Okabe freaking called that crap. Oh my gosh. She opened it a crack, taking care not to let it creak. She looked inside the building. It was as quiet as ever. There was nothing on the floor below but a room for events and some storerooms. So on weekdays like this, it was always quiet.
Did I imagine it?
She tilted her head sideways as she softly tried to close the door. Where did you come from? Huh? That's the only entrance to the top of the radio building, isn't it? How the flop did you get around her? Excuse me? At Mayuri's scream, she turned around, just in time to see armed agents in camouflage jumping over the fence. Over the fence? What do you mean over the fence? Isn't the fence the freaking ground like 100 or 200 feet below? What, did they scale the building? What do you mean? And how did you not hear them climbing the fence? There is no way. I call bullcrap on that. Hello? One of them had grabbed Mayuri.
They climbed up the walls?
Somehow without you hearing. Suzuha deeply regretted her mistake. She was well aware that someone could try to come up the walls. But the video from her dad had made her so excited, she'd lowered her guard. There were about 30 men, all carrying small assault rifles. With Mayuri as their hostage, Suzuha couldn't do anything. Drop your gun and get on the ground. Hands on top of your head. One of the men gave her an order in a cold voice. Resist, and we can't guarantee this girl's safety. He pulled Mayuri close and put the gun to her head, then flipped off the safety.
Dang it.
She had no choice but to obey. Suzuha took the gun out of her holster and put it on the ground, then took a pose where she couldn't resist.
Suzu!
Don't talk. They'll kill you if they have to. I'm just fine.
From the way they moved, she could easily tell they were veteran professionals. That meant they were certainly after the time machine, and probably well aware that only Suzuha could operate it. That, Suzuha decided, meant they wouldn't kill her if they didn't have to. The man who'd spoken to her first, who was probably the leader, knelt down next to her. She was searched, roughly, to make sure she wasn't carrying any other weapons.
I'm a girl, you know. Show some respect.
They took the other small pistol she carried for emergencies, as well as several different kinds of knives. Target 2 and Target 3 have been secured. Oh my gosh, they have us all tagged! Okabe's probably number 1! What about you? The leader spoke to the group of men gathering around the time machine. Target 1 secured. It's locked, and anything we try is met with an error. Several of the men had gone inside the machine as well. Leaving the hatch open had been Suzuha's own mistake, but still, it upset her to see them inside the machine.
It's no use. It won't listen to anyone but me.
Stand up. The leader kicked her with the heel of his boot. Keep your hands where they are. Move slowly. Try anything, and we'll kill the hostage immediately. When she stood up, her hands were cuffed behind her back. They prodded her from behind to move next to the machine. Biometrics, isn't it?
That's right. But you can't copy my veins or fingerprints. Cutting off my hand or ripping out my eyeball won't work either. Security systems in the year 2036 aren't that easily fooled. The men in camo seemed aware of everything she said. None of them seemed surprised or irritated.
Where's the professor? The leader asked the man who was pointing the gun at Mayuri. He's on his way.
Oh no, they got him on lock, dude! They called him a professor too. It's because do they know him from the future or something? They can't. There's no way they're talking about Leskinen. That's got to be Okabe. Oh no! Oh my gosh!
Target 1 is only useful if Target 2 is with it. Tell him it's impossible without brainwashing. Suzuha gritted her teeth when she heard the word brainwashing. She had seen many of her friends in Valkyrie undergo this cruel procedure, then be sent back as spies before turning into vegetables. The leader turned toward Suzuha. You know what happens when you're brainwashed, I believe. The professor doesn't use drugs. He alters your brain directly.
Oh my gosh, they are talking about Leskinen. Oh my gosh, they are. Yep. Yeah, because this is tying into the first route for what he did to Maho, isn't it? Oh my gosh.
I think it would be smarter just to help us. What do you think?
The professor?
Where she'd come from, an old doctor with that name had led a brainwashing team that had attempted to destroy Valkyrie. Suzuha had hated him more than anyone else. They hadn't used drugs either. It was safe to assume that both professors were the same person.
Fine.
She nodded.
I'll help you, but I can't do it like this.
Suzuha jangled the cuffs behind her back. We'll take off the handcuffs, but if you resist, the girl dies. There was still a gun pointed at Mayuri's head. Even if she tried to resist, it would be impossible to save Mayuri with this many professional soldiers. When she went inside the cockpit, she used her biometrics to bypass the lock and brought up the control console. Lights came on all across the machine, and she could hear a low rumbling. Okay, get out. We'll investigate the rest.
I don't think you're going to be able to understand it, but sure.
As Suzuha left the cockpit, the leader turned his gaze toward a particular cluster of men, which seemed to be engineers. That was the moment she was waiting for. Her hand had wandered below the console for just a moment when she left the cockpit. She'd hidden some knives there. Oh! Without making a sound, she threw it at the leader. The knife pierced his throat, He went down so quickly, he hadn't even had time to scream. She quickly readied another knife and darted between the men in camo. Her target was the man pointing a gun at Mayuri's head. Oh my gosh! She dropped her hips low to the ground. In an instant, she moved behind him and slit his throat. Oh my gosh! Blood poured out onto an astonished Mayuri, but there was no time to worry about her. Ugh! She grabbed his rifle and fired a few shots to force them to the ground, then grabbed Mayuri's hand and ran behind the machine. The plan had gone well so far, but she had seriously underestimated how well-trained these men were. The second-in-command quickly moved to the front and worked to reestablish control. All she had was a knife and the gun she'd stolen. But she needed to protect Mayuri, a non-combatant. She was still facing more than 25 active enemies. Whatever the right way to get out of this was, she couldn't find it. The time machine was still active. She couldn't escape because she couldn't leave it here. Oh my gosh. One of the men fired several rounds toward her, which bounced off the side of the machine. Oh! And then Mayuri's head flew back, as if she'd been struck. A spurt of blood came out.
Big Sis Mayu!
Her cute face was turning blood red. One of the rounds had grazed her after it had ricocheted. Oh! She was clutching herself with her arms, and her expression was completely blank. Her tiny body was shaking. Suzuha couldn't blame her. She fired back at the enemy, but they kept drawing closer.
I've been through a lot of fights, but I don't think I've ever seen things get this bad.
The time machine's maintenance hatch was right in front of her. When she saw it was there, she visualized her last option in her mind.
If I open that, I can blow the machine up from within.
If she did that, all of her plans would be ruined. The path to Steins Gate would be closed forever. But that didn't mean she was cold-blooded enough to sacrifice Mayuri here. If the world lines were going to converge, maybe Mayuri wouldn't die here at all. But what her father had said during his video message bothered her. You've probably already noticed, but the choice you and Mayushi just made has changed the world line a little. In other words, I'm a different Itaru Hashira than the one in your world line. Which meant that Suzuha had no proof that Mayuri would be alive in 2036 now. Had the world line really changed? Well, but if it's just like a small divergence, right? It doesn't mean that she would, like, die there. Like it still could mean that causality would still, like, let her keep going. I guess it's I mean, okay. If this is just a branched off world line and not like a completely like jumping from like alpha to beta, then you can probably guarantee that Mayuri will only die whenever she was going to die before. So if she was still alive in 2036, it probably means she's still okay now, right? Like she would still make it now, because it's just a slight divergence. It's not like a main big like jumping freaking attractor field type of world line change, right? So I don't know. Isn't that how that works? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I forgot. Of course, for the sake of Operation Aquila, she hoped it had. But that meant she wouldn't be able to move from this place.
Imagine the worst case scenario.
The worst case scenario. That would be these men taking the time machine. They could turn the world line into something even worse than the one Suzuha had experienced. It might become a world line where not only Mayuri's life wasn't safe, but Daru's wasn't either. If that was going to happen, she had to make her choice fast. She kept a careful eye on the men, and as soon as she saw an opening, she opened the maintenance hatch's biometric lock. She could see part of the engine, which was still giving off a quiet rumble. She turned her gun sights on it. Fortunately, the unit that created the Kerr black hole still wasn't active. Even if she blew up the time machine here, it probably wouldn't cause serious damage to the space-time continuum. As soon as she saw that, she went to pull the trigger.
No!
And Mayuri's voice stopped her.
Don't destroy it!
Don't stop me! I've already made my decision.
Suzu!
Mayuri had stopped her once before, and once again she hesitated for just another instant. On the battlefield, that instant can decide your fate. She took a quick look around again, and then she froze. Mixed in with the men in camo was a girl in a dark motorcycle suit and helmet.
Her? Kagari?
Was it Kagari who had leaked this place's location to them? She was well aware of Kagari's abilities after their 2 battles. If she wasn't completely in control of herself, she'd be killed instantly. She talked to herself.
I'll have to give up on my own survival.
How many would she have to take with her in order to give Mayuri a chance to escape? Right now, the only thing she could afford to think about was getting Mayuri back to Dintaro Okabe. But just when she made her decision, she felt Kagari staring at her, or more precisely, the blood dripping down Mayuri's forehead. And just after that, Kagari did something she hadn't expected at all.
What did you do to Mommy? What did you do to Mommy?
Holy frick! There was a scream. No, it was the howl of an enraged beast. Oh my gosh, this music's bumping! This is awesome! And then the slaughter began. Oh my gosh! Yo, this is like end boss battle music, baby! Yo, this slaps! This is so good! This is my favorite track! Immediately I can make that decision. That's awesome! Listen to that breakdown! That's so good! Kagari grabbed the second-in-command's head with her left hand. With her right, she steadied her rifle. After she fired, there was very little left of his head. The rest of him dropped to the ground. Oh my gosh! Yeah! What? What are you doing? She slammed the piece of tattered flesh that had once been a man's head into the ground, and with no warning at all, leaped from one screaming man to another. She fired her gun into every one of them. Oh my gosh, dude! Let's go! Hello? Oh, there we go.
What did you do to Mommy? What did you do to Mommy? What did you do?
Even when her targets were already soaked in a sea of blood, she kept firing until their limbs were blown apart into unrecognizable rags. Some of them tried shooting her to protect themselves, but no matter where she was struck, Kagari didn't even flinch. Yo! When her magazine ran dry, she drew forth long military-style cleavers. Holding one in each hand, she used them and her military combat training to slaughter anyone she saw. What the heck?
heck is this? Yo, she's going freaking Punisher on him, dude. She's like an indestructible war machine now. Is it because of the brainwashing? What the heck?
Their entrails were scattered all over the twilight rooftop, covering her whole body in blood and bits of flesh.
Don't look! Cover your ears, too!
Suzuha held Mayuri's head tight to her chest. Mayuri was shaking from fear, but she did as she was told and clamped her hands down over her ears. Even so, she could probably still hear the sounds of ripping flesh and shattering bone.
She's not even human anymore.
Even Suzuha had gone stone cold in shock. During all her time in combat, she'd never seen a one-sided slaughter like this. She'd experienced this when they fought, but Kagari seemed to feel no fear or pain. She simply focused all of her energy on killing her opponent. It was often said that humans unconsciously avoided using all their muscle power to protect their own bodies, but Kagari seemed to lack that capability. Just now, she stabbed a man who turned to run from her in the back, then tossed his huge body to the ground with only a single arm. Then she kicked his stomach from below and ruptured his organs, killing him.
What is she? Is she superhuman? How is that possible?
Surround her and fire! It's just one girl! Get around to the right! The right! Finally, after several, perhaps a dozen or more, of the men had been killed, what remained of the squad started to scream orders at one another.
Oh my gosh!
With terrifying reflexes, she dodged between their shots and brutally murdered several more. But...
Oh! Oh no!
At last, a hail of gunfire struck her left hand, and the knife she was holding fell to the ground. No, that wasn't it. It wasn't the knife that fell. It was her entire left hand. Oh my gosh! The shot caused her body to stagger back. No! Fire! Someone screamed, in a voice that lacked any of the pride and bravery a soldier is supposed to possess. Oh! Several more bullets dug into her body. Dude, she's become Tony Montana! Oh my gosh! Parts of the motorcycle suit ripped open, and the helmet cracked. Blood that was clearly her own, not that of the men she'd killed, began to pour out. At last, she fell into a pile of corpses. Okay! They must have thought they finally had her. One of the survivors pointed his gun down to finish her, and just as he was about to pull the trigger... Her bestial roar and the man's terrified scream overlapped in a horrible cacophony.
Oh my gosh, dude!
She forced herself to leap up and brought the back of the remaining cleaver down on his arm, knocking him back. An instant later, the knife slit his throat and ended his life. Retreat! Retreat! The survivors began to flee in terror.
There's no way you're gonna stop it right there, dude! No way. I can't believe you did that to me.